In an age where humanity stands at the crossroads of possibility, a quiet truth has begun to populate the narratives, and curious minds are paying attention. Beneath the surface of mainstream beliefs, there's a deeper truth that involves the concerns of integrity, free will, and responsibility. A truth that speaks of the Deakura, which are ancient guidelines laid down by higher evolved beings who have been watching over our planet for a very long time. These principles are celebrated throughout the stars by various groups of benevolent extraterrestrials working together to assist mankind in its evolution. As first contact draws nearer, humanity is on the brink of awakening to these cosmic truths. First, we will discuss the Deakura principles, and then we will listen to a message from Prince Ea, who is the heir of the Anak Empire. I explained in my last video that Prince Ea is a very compassionate being who has protected Earth for many years. He's guarded and provided the original unspoiled Homo sapien DNA pattern, which he calls the Grail, that will be implemented in specific medbeds to cure genetic diseases and alterations performed on humanity by the deep state. So in spite of what you may hear about the Anak Empire, Ea wants to help mankind and has evolved past the history of his people. I will be doing a separate video on the Anak Empire, a powerful ancient extraterrestrial empire originating from the star system of Nibiru, or a world associated with it. They have been historically involved with Earth in cycles of genetic engineering, rulership, and resource extraction, but were dominated by hierarchical royal bloodlines that split into factions with two very different agendas regarding humanity. So some who have been listening to Controlled Disclosure will tell you that they are all bad, but the fact is that there are regressive factions and progressive or benevolent factions within the same broader race, just like human beings. Elena has known Ea for a very long time and vouches for his authenticity, and that's why I'm going to share his message to the people of Terra in this video. Let me quickly remind you to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for daily videos, and share what you think can help your friends and family. Now let's look at the Deakura principles. When the Deakura were first revealed to a small group of scholars, it came with a sense of profound responsibility. The Deakura outlined core responsibilities for advanced beings interacting with lower evolved species, such as humans. Respect for autonomy. The first principle emphasized the need to respect the autonomy of less developed civilizations. To impose one's will is to stifle growth, it stated. The Deakura taught that enabling another species to evolve at its own pace leads to a richer and more organic development. As the scholars pondered this, they realized the implications for Earth. Media-driven narratives often portrayed aliens as conquerors. The truth, however, was far more nuanced. Cultural preservation. Another crucial aspect of Deakura was the idea of cultural preservation. They warned against cultural erasure. One entity's dominance over another could lead to the loss of invaluable traditions and wisdom. Educators began to understand their roles as custodians of culture, responsible for ensuring that the rich tapestry of human history was cherished rather than diluted. Educational support. The Deakura also encouraged knowledge sharing, but in a way that fostered independence. Rather than dictating solutions, advanced beings should inspire lower developed societies to engage critically with new ideas. Instead of delivering answers, the emphasis was placed on nurturing a culture of inquiry which stimulates independent consideration and decisions. The Galactic Federation and the Prime Directive. As the narrative around Deakura circulated among various scholars, many began drawing parallels with a concept that was disclosed in science fiction, the Prime Directive of the Galactic Federation of Worlds. The Prime Directive serves as a guiding principle that prohibits advanced civilizations from interfering in the natural development of less advanced civilizations. It echoes the Deakura principles, asserting the same ethical standards which are to seek cooperation rather than coercion, understanding rather than imposition. The Federation is rooted in the belief that every civilization has the right to choose its path in the cosmos. However, within the Galactic Federation, there exists a more bureaucratic layer that complicates its adherence to the Prime Directive. While the Deakura emphasizes adaptability and moral responsibility, the Galactic Federation often adheres strictly to protocol, which can risk stagnation when immediate action is required. For instance, should a lower developed society face extinction from natural disasters, the strictly enforced Prime Directive would leave the advanced beings conflicted, for if they intervene, they risk being seen as playing God. If they abide by the protocol and allow the catastrophe, they could be seen as cold and uncaring. In contrast, the Deakura promotes a more flexible approach where their intervention might be warranted if it's done transparently and with the respect of the affected species. So you can see that the difference in the two directives is a subtle but very important one. As the scholars delved deeper and began to understand the implications of these teachings, they felt a shift in perspective taking root among the people they communicated with. Social movements advocating for ecological sustainability mirrored the Deakura principles and the responsibility of higher evolved beings to protect the fragile balance of ecosystems resonated deeply with those fighting to save endangered species and ecosystems on Earth. The realization occurred that the primary directive for humanity should be to protect itself and the planet while preparing for contact with these advanced civilizations. The scholars initiated discussions on how to integrate these principles into Earth's policies, suggesting frameworks for education, cultural diversity, and environmental stewardship based on these cosmic guidelines. As whispers of first contact began to grow louder, Earth faced a monumental challenge, reconciling the innate curiosity and ambition of humanity with the profound wisdom of the Deakura. How could humanity balance its progress while respecting the autonomy of other civilizations? In preparation, a coalition formed among the nations that included scientists, ethicists, diplomats, and educators who joined forces to establish a framework rooted in Deakura principles. They sought to create policies that not only prepared humanity for the realization of higher beings' existence, but also shaped a future where mutual respect and understanding prevailed. With the understanding of the Deakura, humanity began to communicate its intentions to the universe, through signals beamed into the cosmos, and through diplomatic efforts addressing existing global issues. By echoing the principles of the Deakura, humanity positioned itself as a species ready to engage constructively with others. As the chance of contact loomed, scholars found that gatherings meant to honor the essence of these principles bolstered hope among the people. Now that you have a foundation, let's listen to the message from Ia, as shared by Elena Danan, emissary for the Galactic Federation of Worlds. There will be a link in the description to her video.
Among us, the Anakim, the most revered edict is the Deakura, the path of right distance. It served as both a spiritual vow and a cosmic protocol, regulating all contact with civilizations whose evolutionary arc had not yet reached the thresholds of higher consciousness. Unlike the later militarized and more procedural versions drafted by the Galactic Federation of Worlds, the Deakura was woven from metaphysics, cosmology, and a profound respect for the inner evolution of species. My people view evolution not as a biological staircase, but as the luminous unfolding of a pseudo-image of the soul field within a species. Thus, the Deakura was less a law than a sacred covenant with the great cosmic law of evolution. the self-directing intelligence encoded into the fabric of the universe. The Deakura arose during the high cycles of Edinara, when the Anakim first began exploring young planetary life. After early excesses and experiments, some well-meaning, some reckless, the High Council of Sages declared that guiding lesser developed societies required moral architecture far deeper than strategic policy. The Deakura was thus not merely written, it was received. It emerged during the synod of visionaries who entered into communion with the Mad Khal, the cosmic memory. The principle revealed to them was simple. Intervention without inner awakening is theft of destiny. This became the seed of the Deakura. Here is an excerpt of the first verse of the Deakura, which contains 21 verses. These opening verses describe the great law of evolution as a living presence preceding creation. We believe this law is not a deity, but the structural intelligence from which all existence emanates. The first illumination? Before form was shaped, before mind awakened, the great law moved in silence across the void. This teaches that before matter or consciousness existed, the great law was already moving, establishing the vector of becoming. From its breath came the paths of all beings, woven like threads of starlight through the deep. This affirms that destiny is woven into every species at the moment of cosmic birth. No hand shall seize another's path, for the thread is sacred to the soul that bears it. This warns that to interfere with this inherent vector is spiritual violation. The overall meaning resumes to intervention is a theft of divine architecture.